Hi, welcome back. I'm Rachel, and I know that this is kind of incredibly late for a plan with me, but it's the end of the semester and I'm in college, so well, just bear with me, I guess. The upside to all this is that since it's now May 1st, I have all of my April pages to flip through, so that's kind of fun. So I guess I'll just get right into it with the flip through before the planning. So this was my April cover page and April gratitude. This obviously changed a lot because I doodled over it and colored it, and yep. My April monthly view. My April mood board spread. My April books that I read. This was just kind of a disaster because the previous month I left a whole page for it and I didn't read as many books as I thought I was going to. So I had tons and tons of extra empty space. And I added some pictures at the bottom, but this time I ran out of space because I used up more space for the header. So near the end of the month I was like, okay, I'm not starting any new books because I didn't want to have to add more space somehow. Ugh, what a disaster. This was April 1st. My sister Becca came back from France that day and she brought me a little postcard from the Marc Chagall Museum. Actually, I have it here, and I didn't want to tape in the whole thing, so I just found a little image online and printed that out to put in there to remember that. Monday and Tuesday, it was snowing again. Yep. It's been a long winter. Thursday, still snowing, which means that this was Wednesday. Yep, actually Wednesday. I do this all the time. It's a mess. Friday, this was maybe my favorite spread with the pink and the warm colors, and I taped in a little fortune I found. Yep, that was another snowy blizzard kind of day. Literally that weekend. Or no, that wasn't even the weekend it snowed all weekend. This was just a random spring blizzard. And that page. This. I did a lot of writing those days and not as much arting. But I still like it. Then it was warm out. This was with my mood board pictures, but I didn't end up using it there, so I used it here. And then this is actually a post-it that I tore up because I didn't have any craft paper, and also I don't really like brown. Yeah, that was the weekend it snowed all weekend. Wait. Oh, there we go. That was all purple. Then Monday, Tuesday, there was a lot of sparkly stuff going on there, so I pared it down a little bit, and I really like it. This was me being proud of all the books that I read recently, so I sketched a little portrait. This was just a really pretty photo that I found on Pinterest, and I was like, ooh, that'll go nicely with something, I'm sure. This was a quote from the live-action Cinderella movie that I based all my stuff on, from the credit song, and again. Yep, this was around the time that I ran out of Tombow in my tape dispenser, and I had to get creative by like washi taping stuff in and hoping it would stay until I could get back and Tombow it in, and it did. Friday, Saturday, that was my dad's birthday. Sunday, Monday, oh here, this is where I got the Tombow calligraphy pens. Wait, I've got them. That one, and the like hard tip one too, which I think I like better. But I'd been like wanting those forever and ever and ever, and that was when I finally got them. It was super fun, and that's Felicie from Leap, which is a great summery kind of movie. And that was the first day that it was actually warm out, and people were like sunbathing outside, even though it had been like blizzarding the weekend before, but it was like 70, 80 degrees. It was just amazing. Tuesday, Wednesday, this is like a little too busy. I'm not sure what's going on. Thursday, that day was a disaster. So I tried to do all this like calming stuff, and it kind of worked, but it was still a disaster day. Friday, Saturday, oh, this was the day that my little sister went to prom, and she's like a junior in high school. I'm a sophomore in college, and it was super funny because she got all dressed up and she looked great, but she's already like a lot taller than me, and with her like heels on and me like barefoot, she could literally like rest her chin on top of my head. But she looked beautiful and she had a good time. So yeah, I accidentally lettered Friday on there instead of Saturday, so I had to cover it up with paper, but it looks good. Sunday and Monday, which is yesterday, so I haven't finished like filling in what I did that night, so that's empty. And then we come to my May setup, which I in fact set up a couple days ago because I was at home and I had time to do it instead of all this like school disaster stuff going on. So yeah, I'm just gonna go back and send you to Rachel a couple days ago when she did all this stuff. That's gonna be dangerous. I leave those two next to each other. You never forget the first time you drink your paint water. Okay, so get my paper nice and wet. And since I've already done a really blue watercolor painting for March, I thought, why not make it a gold sky? Okay, so here I'm just doing a small little watercolor for my cover page for May, and I decided to go with kind of a gold sky for the background since I did a really blue watercolor painting in March and I didn't paint in April. I just thought this would be kind of fun. So what I did was I did a wet on wet watercolor technique where I got my paper saturated and then I went in with my lighter yellow color and then my darker yellow color to create some definition, like some clouds in the background. It came out kind of darker than I was expecting it to when it was wet, but it dried to a really nice level of saturation, so I was happy with that. And after that, I just went through and painted the image of the girl on there with some blue colors to contrast the yellow, and after that I went in with another layer for details and the grass and reeds around the bottom, and then I finished it off with colored pencil, as you'll see here in a couple minutes. I had to speed the footage up a lot because it took a really long time to do all this, so let me know if that was pretty distracting. I could make it longer, but the video was already getting pretty long, so I figured this was the best solution. But let me know if it annoys you and I can work to edit it in a way that makes it a little more helpful / interesting to watch. I don't know. This was kind of a departure from my usual approach to painting with watercolors. I usually try to go bit by bit and erase the pencil lines, but in this painting I just kind of left them there because I wanted it to be a little more loose and I didn't want it to be like exhausting and miserable to paint. And I don't think it turned out that bad. I think it's kind of fun because usually I either get rid of my lines completely or I go over them in ink, but this has a really nice, loose, easy kind of feel, and it was really fun to paint because it wasn't so exhausting. And then to kind of go in for a little bit more detail, since I made the paint loose, I just went in with some colored pencils to detail the hair and the clothing and the grass at the bottom, and then I went in with pinks to add to the like golden kind of clouds in the sky to give them a little more dimension, make them look a little more like clouds. And I added darker pink to the bottom to add some shading. The next thing I did was create my May monthly calendar. I always use my grid layout because it works really well for me, and I usually have way more than one event or appointment every day, so the bullet journal list format doesn't work for me very well. And then I use a layout that I saw from Mistral Spirit because I like the shape of the boxes that she makes in hers. And then I just added a cute pink sidebar to make the page a little less boring with some brush lettering for the month and a little photo that I coordinated with my cover page. And then here is my gratitude. I decided for this month I wanted to put my gratitude next to a single page of like mood board / vision board for this month, because the last 2 pages I had left to do were the gratitude and my books to read, and I didn't want to have 2 listy pages right next to each other because it just like wouldn't look as good as I wanted it to. So I decided to do a single page of mood board to make the layout flow better. And then I just arranged some photos. Actually, this footage is from the next morning because the light got too weird. My room like faces out to the west, and I get like weird shadows across everything, and it's really pretty, but it makes it so you can't see what I'm doing. So I called it a night and went back to it the next morning. And then my little calendar view and some ribbons. I don't know why, I just really like hanging ribbons, and I add them to like all my spreads, but I usually do them with washi. Here I drew them though. And then, yep, I'm just sort of adding some details here, I think. I went in and tried to find doodles that would fill my space and look good with my pictures instead of just drawing like flowers like I was kind of tempted to do. I went for kind of a constellation thing, which still isn't the most original, but it's a little different than just flowers. And then I added a list of reminders here, which I've seen other people on YouTube do, and I just love it because I love the idea of reminding yourselves of things that you tend to forget throughout the month, and it was especially nice to me to have this right next to my gratitude page, because I get to like look at this positivity on my left hand page, and just as I'm remembering the good things that happened to me throughout the day on my right hand gratitude log page. And then you'll see when I flip through all these pages that I actually made a couple changes to this after I was finished with it, because that's what I do. I always go back and change things and reevaluate and decide that, oh, I want this to be different. And in this case, I went back and added a piece of that pink cardstock that I used on the calendar view to cover up the reminders header that I drew there, because I didn't really like the way it turned out. And then I added another piece of washi tape in the middle instead of those gray lines that don't really show up. And then here I finish off this spread by setting up my gratitude log, and in the past couple months I haven't numbered out my days beforehand, but I don't know why this whole month I feel like I just set up everything to be a little more structured than I have been doing. I'll see if it works for me, but I think I kind of wanted some motivation to look at my pages and have them already be pretty without having to set them up as I go, because that's what I do for my daily pages. I wanted my monthly pages to be a little more structured, I guess. So I just put in the picture to make it pretty, and next I finished up my setup by creating a reading log page with a space for the date I started and finished each book and a place for the title. And the very last thing I did was tape in my painting since it took so long to dry. And that's my whole setup. Okay, so I'm just gonna quick flip through these pages that I set up for May. This was my May painting cover page, whatever. I added in the letters later, I think, after I drew it. So there's that. My pretty sidebar. And I haven't like filled in all my schedule stuff yet. Then my like reminders, mood board kind of page. Obviously channeling some Cheyenne here because I love how she does these like notes to yourself throughout the month, and I thought it would be fun to kind of pare it down this month and place it opposite my gratitude so that I can remember these kind of positives as I'm thinking about what I was grateful for during the day. And then I added like a picture to my gratitude page because it always looks so empty in these like plan with me videos, even though it looks fine later. So I'll see if it annoys me to have like fewer spaces on these earlier days, but I don't know. And then my last page of my May setup is my books to read page, and maybe I should have left more room after running out of space in April, but I'm gonna have finals this month, so odds are I won't be able to read as much as I want to. And I only had one book that I migrated over this month, whereas in April I had like 3. Yeah, so that was the only book I didn't finish, was Clockwork Angel, because I'm listening to the audiobook, and audiobooks go slower than reading, even though I can knit while I'm listening to them. Okay, so thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!